Has DeSantis addressed a reporter question about being Secretary of Defense? I've not
Not
seen that.
not that I have seen.
Yeah.
So
It seems odd, right? I mean, he gets asked a lot of questions typically. Has no one
yeah,
asked him?
it just depends. Correct. They just haven't had a shot at him. He
Yeah.
hasn't had any public events. Maybe I could reframe your question this way. If
Always do.
Hegseth if Hegseth withdrew tonight, would DeSantis be
Yeah.
offered the job of DOD secretary
Yes,
tomorrow?
sir.
Likely so.
Okay.
And would DeSantis take it? Strong possibility. Now, that then triggers this whole discussion about Laura Trump. Ron DeSantis doesn't want Laura Trump to be the nominee, or better said, the Senate pick, not because he dislikes Laura Trump, but he is one of these guys who believes in certain forms and certain sensibilities. He has certain sensibilities, and one of them is that Laura Trump hasn't been here long enough, and she hasn't earned it, and that's how it is. And so she can go out there and earn it in 2 years. And by the way, I do think of Laura Trump, if the dynamic is the same, of course, that's a big if. I think she would probably win that Senate race. It also would depend on who's running. So I speculate also that there is always a part of Ron DeSantis that doesn't like looking like someone's bitch.
Yeah.
And so he's not going to want to look craven and transactional by doing
But
that
there's
anyway.
no way to pick her without feeling that because she just moved to the state and there's people who are
Okay,
more
so I'm going to
qualified.
give away
So
I'm
yeah.
going to give away the game
Yeah.
because I'm going to blow a story of mine, which I was planning to write, because I think my story I just wrote is so right that my other story is never going to come to existence.
Yeah.
The, it's not a binary thing. Either DeSantis appoints or he doesn't. If, let's say they're playing the long game, this is informed speculation on my part, okay? Is that DeSantis would stretch out the appointment period by which to pick the Senate nominee, or better said, the Senate replacement of Rubio.
Yeah.
And remember, Rubio hasn't left the seat yet,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That happens after January 20th. So DeSantis he is under no obligation to fill that until it becomes vacant. And it's not vacant right now, or it's not effectively vacant. And so what DeSantis could do is get the DOD job himself and then turn over to Jeanette Nunez, the lieutenant governor who would become governor, the appointment of Laura Trump. Laura Trump then becomes senator. Jeanette Nunez, now the incumbent governor, when she runs for office in 2 years, has the endorsement of both Trumps, President Trump and Senator Trump for reelection. Tallahassee would love it because Jeanette Nunez is moderate in tone and sensibility. She is a known quantity. She's been in Tallahassee for a number of years. She was a legislative aide before then, worked at Florida International University. And she is much more preferred than Byron Donalds, the congressman for Southwest Florida, who, if you ask me right now, and this can change, is probably our likeliest next governor, or Matt Gaetz, who scares the fuck out of Tallahassee and everyone else, right?
But
So if
Byron Donalds is not the next governor if she's the incumbent governor, right?
Correct. That's the thing. That's what I
Yeah.
said. Like that's if she's
Yeah.
governor,
Yeah.
right? But I'm saying like so that whole scenario I laid there all those different dominoes, like that's sort of the everyone in the Republican tent wins scenario,
Got
right?
it. Matt.
Except for James Uthmeyer, who was the chief of staff
Yeah.
Yeah.
for Ron DeSantis, because I haven't been told this directly by him, but everybody in Tallahassee speculates it. What he would prefer is that Ashley Moody, the sitting Florida Attorney General, get appointed to the Senate seat. That creates a vacancy for Florida Attorney General, and Uthmeyer, a lawyer, a Federal Society guy, he gets to be Attorney General for the state of Florida.
Does the
So,
governor pick that if the AG slot is open?
yes.
Got it. And he'd
So,
prefer that than to be a caretaker senator?
well, when the initial seat came open, or the knowledge of the seat came open, and when Laura Trump expressed interest in filling that soon to be empty seat, there are a lot of scary people in MAGA world, or as I call them in this piece, the MAGA dogs. You don't want to run afoul of the hounds of hell here. And for a guy like Uthmeyer, who's a career professional, a lawyer, he doesn't want to get sideways with MAGA and take Laura Trump's seat. That's
Right.
another, by the way,
Yeah.
factor in all of this that we haven't really discussed.
Yeah, well, you just did. Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
So real quick. So I like every year, both you guys know, the rest of the audience, every 4 years, Harvard does this big conference where they have all the campaign managers or whatever, decision makers from all the campaigns, primary and general, come to Harvard and just recap the campaign for history, right? And so I was there last week representing Tim Scott. Who was the one major campaign that was not there?
Ron DeSantis.
And it was smart move. I get it. Why? Why relive that if you're them?
No
It makes
point.
no sense.
No
All you can do
point.
is harm yourself. But
No.
that did not stop the Trump campaign and Nikki Haley, but the Trump campaign was the one I'm talking about, from just mercilessly mocking them all like throughout the whole thing. It was a trend. You can tell there is zero love lost between the Trump campaign
All right.
and the DeSantis campaign at the operative level, right? Again,
Right.
I'm not.
And that's why the Trump people leaked that DeSantis was in on this to begin with. They didn't want him to become DOD secretary.
Exactly.
They hate him.
And here's what I would say. I've never advised Ron DeSantis, nor does he probably want my advice, but here's what I would tell him. And this is, and I don't know Mark's sources, and so I'm not saying that irrespective of this. I'm saying in a vacuum, I would say this: be extremely careful. This isn't Romney's Secretary of State 2.0. Where, if you guys remember back after the Trump won the first time, out of nowhere, the Secretary of State Mitt Romney rumor came. And so what did Trump do? Summoned to Trump Tower. They ate at Jean George's. There just happened to be a photographer there. And that's where we have that wincing photo of Mitt. And it was kind of embarrassing. He made him basically pledge his loyalty, says, yes, I want to be Secretary of State. Okay, thanks, Mitt. Bye. Here, Rex Tillerson, you're hired for the job. So when I also then heard that him and DeSantis are going to the Army-Navy game. So there's a photo of them together. I would just be extremely nervous if I'm Team DeSantis that I'm being set up here in a similar way that Mitt Romney was the first time around.
Oh, of course.
Brilliant.
By the way,
Brilliant.
on November 29th, 2016, I tweeted that picture
Yes.
with the caption, "What's for dinner, Donald?" Answer, your dignity. And
Yeah.
that's what happened to Romney, right?
Yes.
So my only annotation of the brilliant stuff you just said, Matt, is that restaurant is 10 blocks from my house and the S is silent.
Okay, sorry.
Jean Georges.
Yes.
Jean Georges.